What's up, gamers? It's your boy Dekie, back from my trip, and the Gamer Hole boys are here with me. The Gamer Hole is back. Very sorry for a brief
hiatus.
Yes.
Holding pattern, yeah.
You know, when I first learned what the word hiatus meant, it's when my parents separated. They were having a hiatus from each other, so thanks.
Oh, God, thanks, Aqua.
Well, unlike Dekie's parents, we're back together again. Sorry, Dekie. And we missed you guys. Thanks for your patience. We're sorry, but it's just not the same without the crew. You know, it's tough to actually make something happen, especially because Dekie's the only person who actually does anything that's worth talking about.
Mainly,
That's part of the problem. But yeah, here we are. We're back. And
we're back for a bit. There is another trip. So for anybody out of the loop, I took a little break from streaming and being at home and doing any kind of stuff to go to Eastern Europe and climb some mountains with the boys. So we did our first trip of that, and it was 5 weeks. Very fantastic. We'll get into some of the details on that. I'll give you guys some info. But I'm back, and I'm going to be back for another like 4 weeks, and then I leave to do it again. Which we'll see what we can pump out for some in-between material during that. Ideally, we can make some stuff happen. That way we'll have some filler. But yes, I will be gone again for another 5 weeks. But after that, I'm like done with it for a year. So we'll be set. And that's when the Gamer Hole's got some major shit coming in.
Yeah.
Big.
yeah,
A lot of people I've even heard rumors that people have said Gamer Hole's dead. No, it's not. You shut your goddamn mouth. We got actually things happening.
It might even be reborn as like a phoenix with all kinds of new feathers or whatever. It might be. You might like what you see. We're working on it. We're working through the details. But for now, we're still going to be here as much as we can, and it'll probably be kind of the same. But Dekie, tell us, what was the highlight and the low point of your big trip? Because I've been waiting for you to come back, and I couldn't wait to hear about it.
That's a really good question. Low point. That's something I haven't thought about. That's really something I haven't thought about.
When I picture a trip like this, climbing mountains all across Europe, I picture, in my mind, that sounds like, just a recipe for disaster. So I'm like assuming something crazy
there's
went
wrong. There's a lot to go into on that too. Man, this okay. So well, first off, the brief overview is Pestely's neighbor Michael, and then we've got another guy that like applied for it, like I applied for it. His name's Jared. I love Jared. Jared is great. He's into conspiracies. He hates the government. He thinks people are spying on him, but he's also down to get into whatever real fucked up shit I want to. While Michael and Pestely are usually kind of like, maybe we shouldn't do that, or that's against the law, or let's not do this. And Jared and I are already off doing it. So it's very much this. It's a great partner. Anyway, we'll get into Jared more later. He's also the one that had to drive me back to go get my passport when I left it. He's also the one that got left on the mountain with me. So there's a lot that goes into stuff with me and him.
I wouldn't have guessed that from him. He seems like a really well-to-do, like straight arrow kind of guy.
He's like this nice, handsome, jacked dude, and but no, he's
got a wild side.
Yeah. He's
got that devilish look in his eye.
He's Canadian though, so I mean.
So the trip. Just for an overview for anybody, is Pestely had this idea he's had it for like 10 years. He wanted to climb like the tallest mountain of every European country. And so he kind of put this thing together, and he ended up being like, well, I want to make a YouTube channel out of it. And so I'll bring some other people on with me, and we can go do this. Which is super cool opportunity, and that I got put into it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going to be like divided up into 3 trips. We just did the first trip. We're going to be doing the second trip in a couple of weeks. And then the third trip's being postponed until next year for peak climbing season, because that's the year that we're doing like Mont Blanc and other proper like Alps, which are the big boy mountains, and you don't want to do that in non-peak season. So,
Are any
so
of those
that's-
technical climbs, or are they mostly just like pretty basic climbs? Is there
Trip
anything
3
crazy?
definitely will get a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
This next trip's actually going to be like easier than the first one.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, we'll see. But so this first trip, it's like there's 3 different trips. We're trying to do majority of the mountains in Europe. We'll have to skip a few. Like we're not going to do Ukraine. We're not going to do Russia. But we are. So we did most of the Balkans this trip. That was very much it. So we like flew into Greece, went to Albania, or the exact list was like, I think, Greece to Albania to Montenegro to Bosnia to Croatia, Hungary, Romania, Moldova.
I will never go to any of those places.
All of the EAs. He
Maybe-
did all
yes,
of the
maybe Greece.
EAs.
Yeah, hold on. I can finish it. From Moldova, which is least touristed country in Europe, back to Romania. Then we went down to Bulgaria. Then from Bulgaria, we went back to Montenegro.
And
Then
you
we went
did
back to Albania. Then we went back to Greece. Then we went to Turkey. And Turkey's like, half EU, half like Asian, Middle East continent. But we went to that for Anzac Day, which was a weird experience because there's no Americans at Gallipoli. So they ended up asking around if there's any other Americans. One guy's like, "Oh, there's an American in my group," and I got to meet the other American there. He was also a bit uncomfortable and not sure why he was there, but it was actually a really cool ceremony. It was proper. It was very well done.
For anyone that is interested, Before Death and Before Death podcast on YouTube, we'll have more of this, the 4 of them and their experiences.
Well, I think you guys are actually getting it first because all that's like
That's
very,
delayed, I
very
know.
delayed. Yeah.
It's almost as good as our podcast.
Well, that's what I was telling Kinngs earlier on the members only. Well, you're getting your sandwiches. That
Yeah.
I mean, there's a stigma and a thing about white boys with podcasts. Now I'm a white boy with 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
So
You're really
yeah,
hitting that mold.
I'm really leaning into the douche factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're so interesting. Everybody's got to know what we have to say.
Well, that's
it's
what's
bad enough that we're fucking streamers. For
there's a
God's
huge
sake.
stigma for podcasts now because
Gracias.
when the pandemic happened, everyone had a podcast, and everyone usually had 2 or 3 podcasts actually. And now the people that are still doing podcasts, everyone's just like, "Oh, you're just a fucking white boy with a fucking podcast again."
Yeah. The funny thing is, we started a podcast, Kinngs and I, and our other friend Triard. We had one a long time ago.
Yep.
Before the podcast craze, and I kind of wish we stuck with it. But we were real early to the party. Like, it was called Tube Dudes. I think it's still on YouTube.
Tube
right?
Dudes on YouTube. Yep.
Yeah, we had a bunch of guests. We had General Sam. Where Sam got his idea for a podcast, even though everyone thinks that we copied him for a podcast. I know. and then we had Vertigo, Sir Winter. Who else? We had all the
Me.
Dekie. We did have Dekie. Yes, that's how we got to know Dekie.
That's one of the
First
big
introduced
ones.
Aqua.
Yeah, because I was like,
that was the
Dekie's
first
crazy.
time we met Dekie.
We need to get him on.
That's true. Yeah,
But that show was live, I think, and that was kind of one of the hang-ups of why we kind of slowed it down or stopped it, was because it was hard to produce that live.
Yeah, and also we had to take a hiatus for some personal reasons.
Yeah.
Try hard, and I think other stuff too. And we just kind of let it slip through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're not letting this slip through the cracks. Don't be mistaken, you gamer holders.
I mean, we have done over 100 episodes. We've definitely done this show.
We've been grinding. That's true.
We're gonna revitalize it.
I wonder,
we said. We'll see.
I wonder how many podcasts actually hit 100. I wonder if there's a statistic for that on Spotify or something, where it's how many podcasts that actually make it to 100 episodes.
Yeah, I was on a podcast
PKA
this past week. I was on PKA, which has 600 or
600?
Yeah, it's either 460 or 640 or something like that. I went on there. It's 4 hours long. Good Lord. But I was happy to be invited. And I got on there and barely spoke. Not because I didn't want to speak, but it just kind of happened that way. Those guys, they talk a lot.
Yeah.
But it's fine. You know, as long as they weren't like disappointed with my presence, I don't mind. I was happy to sit there and listen. I got to listen first. So there it is. But yeah, nice guys. It was fun. Didn't think I'd be on that, but apparently, what I was so surprised with is Kyle, FPS Russia, formerly known as OG YouTuber, like really early on. He was like the first one to do like the gun YouTuber thing, put on a fake Russian accent, blew shit up in his yard. Apparently, he's been watching my videos for years, like since Rust. I think he said like the Rust days, like really, really long time. I had no idea. It's always so crazy to me. Like, you know, I make these videos and stuff. And I never think that like there'd be any sort of like crossover like that. You know, like someone I'd heard of just independently watching my stuff. It's just kind of weird. Or someone I know from like real life, just organically discovering my stream, like someone from my past or something. Yeah. Like some people from college and shit have like popped up like, whoa, what the fuck what are you doing here? Like stuff like that. It's kind of wild. But yeah.
Yeah, if you guys were interested in that that podcast, it's on Woody's Gamertag channel and it's PKA 646 with Aqua FPS.
Look at us going on other pod. I mean, I wasn't a host like Dekie. I'm not
that legit
not a,
is
Benedict
how you grow a
Arnold
podcast.
I'm just kidding.
When people are podcasters, they're fucking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do a guest spot over here, guest spot
they
over
do.
there.
They do. Yeah, it's true. It's like a
weird cult.
Yeah, or like people get around, like you know.
Can we call Dekie a podcast slut now? Is that allowed?
It's like a retirement home. People get around in there. It's like Caligula, but minus all the sex. Because, well, as far as I know, at least.
Okay.
Dekie's
I did
eating
as fast as I could. That was a massive.
Don't worry. That we were buying you time. Look how professional we are with podcasts now.
Yeah, you guys did that for me when I was eating my sandwich on the members only episode.
We did.
Instead of just asking
we have
you
a
questions
perfect
while you
tempo.
had your mouth full.
Yeah. Dekie did the opposite. He was waiting and then just fucking asked you questions.
Honestly, like I asked Dekie a big question that I knew would have a big response and I just ate my sandwich during it.
Yeah.
It's great.
That was a amazing almond croissant. They opened it up, put butter on the inside, and heated it. Oh.
Really? It already has so much butter.
Oh, but it's like extra weighty. Oh my god! Nice. So I am a bit of a croissant connoisseur. I do have a bit of French ancestry as well. So it all makes sense. It's in my DNA, as well as the douchebag factor. I have very much, and there's a large French population in Mexico City, or at least in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of croissant bakeries, and I've got a whole ranking system on them. And the best original croissant is still about 20 minutes away, and I don't get to have it very often, and it's great. But this place, it's relatively new, opened up a couple of months ago, and the regular croissant definitely isn't number one spot, but out of almond croissants, nothing beats it. It is absolutely S tier, and they're blowing it up.
So, are you gonna start a food channel as well, a food review channel for these croissants?
That'll be short lived. There's like 5 items that it'll
literally be croissant from this place, croissant from this place, croissant from this place.
It'd be like 10 episodes and it'd be over.
Yeah. It'd be like, this is where I get my pizza and have them take all the toppings off.
But yeah,
actually,
that was just amazing. As far as food, or go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would totally watch that. You could call it like freaky eating with Dekie, and you show them all your weird.
I think it'd also be cool if you did like a Henry's Kitchen thing.
I could put it on my YouTube channel.
The one that you don't have,
Yeah. But speaking of there's so much to talk about. This is, God damn it. We started on the Europe thing. Here I am talking about croissants, and now I'm going to talk about tacos. So I have my taco spot, which I've sent you guys pictures of. The
Of
only
course.
place in the city that I actually put sauce on my tacos.
I
And
saw
put a
that
lot-
video on Instagram or Twitter or something.
Oh,
you
yeah,
posted.
yeah.
I was
I'm-
so proud of you. My God, look at all.
Dekie is an
You're really
Instagram
sauced.
boy now, just so
I
everyone
am.
knows.
I had always
true.
avoided it, and I was like, that's just for like, Instagram models and influencers and other stuff, and I'm like, ugh. But with this whole like mountain climbing thing, and before that channel, they're like, oh, use our Instagrams, and I was like, okay. And then I learned. I don't give a fuck about posting any actual post on there, but stories.
Yeah,
stories are my favorite thing. There's so much fun stuff, and it's made me into the classic like content creator bro mindset of where anything I do, I'm like content, and I'm like putting that on my story. And the story's only 24 hours, and I'm not saving them, I'm not doing anything with them, so it's just instantly gone. It's not actually any real quality. But like when I got smashed in the fucking face the other day, I'm like bleeding out of my head. The first thing I thought was that's a lot of blood. Second thing I thought was, this is going to be a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
I've been meaning to ask you about that too. But go ahead.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that too.
Yeah.
Watch till the end of the episode, and I'll tell you how I had my face bashed open. But at the taco place, they have a new meat guy, and it's like at a passport thing. So they have like all the meat on the big spit, and they carve it off.
Yep.
And I do ask for my tacos a little bit burnt. But I do put sauce on them, and that's why this is a big thing at this specific taco place. The new taco guy, I walked up and I was like, oh fuck, because the other guy knew me. This guy doesn't. I was like, this is gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
But luckily, one of the waiters like went over there and made sure to clarify to me. He's like, yeah, just burn this dude's meat a little bit. He's kind of a freak. But he actually did a decent job. I was pleased. But that was the thing after the trip that I was most excited about, is getting those tacos. I've missed it so much. I've had those tacos like 8 times since I've been back, and I've been back like 5 days.
See, I think that your life is so interesting when you go eat places like that, because you tell them specifically like, I need this burnt. And then when they burn it, they have to actually come over and be like, how most people, they do it for like to be nice, like, oh, how's your food? But with you, they're like, how's your food? Did I burn it correctly? And you're
Exactly.
like, yeah, it could be burnt a little bit more, but they're worried because they're like, I would never serve that to anyone else. And
I'm
you're
always
like,
very nice, and I
Yeah.
make it clear I'm not judging, because I understand it's me being fucked up, and I give a nice tip. And I go there regularly enough that they're very familiar with it, and they get it.
I had a whole tipping thing on stream that I
no.
thought was just, it was one of those moments when I just
dear.
felt like I absolute sent a dagger through chat. You know what I mean?
through chat?
Yeah. Because like they'll get on something sometimes, and like it's the best when you prove like a group of people wrong somehow.
How's that-
that are like,
Okay.
what?
Go ahead. Let's
You
keep
can't
going.
prove anybody wrong with tipping Aqua. You can't prove them wrong. There's
Let's
no
do it
right
for-
answer.
okay.
This is no.
Oh God.
Well,
Let's
This
here's
is
see what
the
going to be
thing.
the most controversial podcast we've ever had.
I hope
Go ahead,
so.
say it, Aqua. Do it.
I might have told this story on stream on this podcast before. Actually, I think it was on stream. It's all melding together now. But like, I went to Starbucks, and they have this new thing when you use a card. It like they like have you, they like give you the thing, and then there's like a tip option on there, which wasn't a thing before. So like usually I'll tip. Like I like to tip. That's my I just tip everywhere pretty much.
Yep.
And then like, I was telling the story how like I had exact change one time, so I didn't tip, but I was like a cent over or something. So I was like, just keep the cent. And then the guy was like, oh, let me get that penny for you. Here you go. And then gave it back, because I'm not sure if he heard me say like keep the change or not. And then I was kind of like, man, was that like a fuck you for not tipping? Like, I had exact change. Like, what am I to do? And then
keep going.
okay, but anyway, so chat was like, a few people were getting on this whole thing like, don't tip at Starbucks. Why would you tip there? Just like as like an overarching like tipping, like the tipping's getting out of hand. Like, fuck this,
Yeah.
And then I was like, listen, I like to tip. Even if they are being paid full wage or whatever, if they do a good job or not, I'll throw a couple extra bucks to that, because it goes to the person. Why not? And then they were like, you shouldn't be tipping, blah blah. And like, you guys, you tip me all the time. And then they didn't even like, and I was like, I'm paying it forward. I make my living on tips, motherfuckers. I got you there.
Yeah.
And then they were like,
in Europe, it's insulting to tip. And
so I was like, I'm going to fucking tip. I get the tips. I'm going to pay it forward. And then that ended the conversation real fast.
The thing
they didn't even
that
think of it that way. That like as a streamer, we live on tips too.
Yeah. You shouldn't need to tip for anything for most jobs, but that's just how it is in the U.S. specifically. In Europe, it's insulting to tip, or some places in Europe, it's insulting to tip them because it's
because they like it's like I don't need your extra money. I make a living doing my job.
Like I make a good living. You're looking down on me by giving tips because that's how the culture is there, and they're paid an actual salary, not fucking.
That's where it gets tricky, You don't want to leave too big a tip here either, because sometimes it's but I think most of the time it's like money's money. I don't give a damn that.
Goddamn right.
Yeah. I think in America, that's kind of what it is.
Back in the day when I used to work at the Cracker Barrel, I knew how to milk those old people dry.
Oh, dude, those old people.
Goddamn, dude.
You probably got their Social Security. You probably got
fucking you learned the old people charm, and you can just suckle them. All that retirement fund just flowing right into my goddamn pocket from Betty Sue and Dave.
Yeah.
Betty Sue and Dave are probably dead now. So thanks. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Poor Betty Sue.
I know when I get a big tip or something, like when Fencer comes to town or someone like that, like I never am like, that's insulting. I'm like, oh my God, that's insane. Like,
right, because it's
you don't need to do this. I feel it makes me uncomfortable almost, but
it's the culture thing though. But
yeah,
it's like if Twitch actually paid you fair wages, and then I guess
that's true. Twitch is really winding down their
they're definitely going the U.S.
money
the American route
ways.
of tipping.
Right.
Let's give them $2.50 an hour and let them get the rest through tips.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Twitch it's taking what Starbucks and all these other places did, and they're like, let's pay them nothing and then just make them live on tips or Uber Eats or anything like that.
They're really going that direction.
And that's why I hate Uber Eats so much, because it is a case of I have to fucking tip a good amount because I feel like shit because these guys get paid like $2.50 an hour or some bullshit. And then also Uber Eats, I don't know if you guys saw this. Uber Eats changed how much you tip. It used to be 15%, 20% on their like automatic thing. Now it's 17%, 21%. Again,
how many options do you guys have for the tips? And does it?
I think it's 3 and then custom or something.
Does it have the whole like "you're my hero" thing?
Mine
has little like phrases with it.
It has little phrases with the
"you saved me."
Yeah.
Mine is 5%, 10%. 15%, and then I think custom.
Yeah, mine's 17, 21, and then 26 or something like that, and then custom.
Yeah, I think it's like 10, 15, 20, 25.
For Uber Eats?
For Grubhub.
Oh, Grubhub's different. Okay. Uber Eats is one. Yeah. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, so Europe. So, God, we started on that and definitely left. Yeah, you guys are going to be hearing more about this before than on the other actual podcast from the show.
Yes.
So we went out there and this had been a major point. I like to be very prepared, and which is very odd to say. I was trying to be very prepared for this because I'm not prepared for anything. Where did Aqua get that?
You didn't know this? Oh, you haven't been here for the last month. He's been smashing his knuckles with his balisong.
I'm actually like good at it now.
No, it doesn't have a blade. It's illegal to have a blade, but it's the trainer one.
I was gonna say, like, if this has a blade, like, I am so impressed.
He
would not manage to learn.
I could have a blade now. I would actually be confident. Yeah.
You can't. I don't think.
I think they're
legal. They're illegal in New York, I believe.
I just wanted to show Dekie.
I just wanted to right next to him off stream. Definitely not.
No, I don't. I would cut my fucking whole face off. I don't want an actual blade.
That's a great fidget thing for you.
I have no reason for it to be an actual blade. I have other knives that I can open Amazon packages with. What am I going to do? Fucking stab someone? Like, no. I like to just fidget with it because I have ADD. It's fun for me, and I wanted to show it to Dekie.
He has an Amazon package, and he's just like...
I mean, what else are you going to do with it? It's just fun to flip around. I have no reason for an actual blade. I've been looking for a fidget toy like I've talked about for so long, and this is the answer.
That is amazing. I am impressed.
It took me so long. but I
God,
found
if
it.
only you were like some thug on the side of the street, like
I
you
can
know, looking
pretend
to
to be.
intimidate people. That'd be amazing. That is awesome.
Cool, right? You're gonna buy
Yeah.
one very soon. I already got Z-Chum, lettuce. I think that's it. But they went and bought them as well, and they learned. Yeah. But I didn't mean to derail you again, but I wanted to show you my cool skills.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God.
It's mesmerizing, isn't it?
Jared also really likes knives, and he
Yeah.
might have bought a couple of knives that you cannot take to Australia. Allegedly, he might have bought a couple. Allegedly, well, we're just going to say he definitely did not take those back to Australia.
Mm.
But yes, so that was the thing. On this trip, we had like meetings about it because this had been in the works for months now. We had multiple Skype meetings, all this planning for it, and something that I had major worries about is the time of year that we were going to climb these mountains. I had looked up online and I had done quite a bit of research on, videos from, May or March, April, as well as just looking up, weather forecasts for March and April. And for the most part, it all said snow, it's still wintertime, snow. And I had asked a little bit about this when we had been talking about kits, because there had never been any mention of crampons. There had never been mention of, ice axes, proper snow gear, snow boots, with when we were talking about the equipment that we needed. And I had mentioned this, and I was shrugged off. I was shrugged off by some other people in our crew. and I was kind of upset about this. And I was like, well, I guess we'll just have to see. I was right. We went into the most harsh winter conditions we could have ever goddamn had. It was a goddamn fucking nightmare. But we ended up, it was great. We did get a little bit of snow equipment once we were there. And the overall trip was absolutely amazing. I don't remember, the very first mountain we did was Albania, and Albania is a very, very unique place. We had heard a whole lot about that because we first flew into Greece, went to a little beach town. We didn't do Olympus in Greece. And on our way up to Albania, we had stayed at a place, and the lady was all like, "You guys are going to Albania?" And we were like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh." And we were like, "Oh no." She's like, "Albania, I mean, the countryside looks a lot like Greece, but the people." And I was like, oh. And she's all like, "You can't trust them. They're bad." And I was like, oh God, this is great. Because also the car rental company was all like, if you take your car to Albania, we're not going to come get it. You need to tow it all the way out. Then we'll come get it at the border. And we were like, oh. And then also Twitch chat was all like, Albania is just full of mobsters. And then if you look at the Albanian flag, it looks very scary. So it's like dark, like blood red with a giant eagle on it, black eagle. So it's just like black and red.
Whoa,
and
what the fuck?
it's menacing. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like a fucking villain from the G.I. Joe flag.
So that and this is like, the first mountain that we're going to do, and so we go into Albania, and Albania is actually one of my favorite countries. We did a STF tier list of countries, which is very controversial, and I actually gave Albania an S. I loved it. We went to the capital city, Tirana. I'd never heard of Tirana before I arrived, but that's their capital.
Me neither.
And learned a lot of history. And then we went to the mountain. The mountain was called Krabi, and
Of course.
and that was the one that kind of set the group of, yeah, it's definitely wintertime. We walked into an Arctic tundra up there, and that's still my favorite mountain. Krabi is the best. We failed it. The first time that we were up there, we got off track. There's a large argument on whether it was being lost or just not in the right spot, but we knew we were not in the right spot. I call that lost. Other people don't. So
we're not in the right spot, but we're not
Tesla
lost.
is very adamant that we were not lost.
Who
and
said
that we were
you
just
weren't
not in
lost,
the right
Tess?
spot, but we knew it.
Well,
Who's adamant that you weren't lost?
Pestily was.
I guess
He's like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you know where you are,
we knew where we weren't.
well, okay, if you don't know where you are, you're lost. But I mean,
So we did get off track on that because there was a lot of snow.
Yeah.
It was knee deep for most of it. It'd go up to waist deep in other areas, and we are trudging through there. Luckily, we did have. I was the only person on ice axe. We did have crampons. We are trudging through there, and we've been out there for like 9 hours. And we're beat. So, and this is like the very first mountain that we had done all as a team. It's covered in snow, and we got off track because this Austrian that we had met, a skier, like the only other guy on the mountain, had been like, "Oh yeah, Krabby Peak," and he spoke pretty good English. He's like, "It's over there," and we were like, "Oh okay, well let's walk over towards that one," because there's a bunch of different peaks on mountains, and we trusted this man, and we walked that way, which was definitely away from the trail that we had on our GPS.
I think that he was giggling as soon as he said that.
Yeah. And we traipsed on over there, and we wasted half the day going over there before we realized we've made a mistake. Then we spent half the day going back, and we ended up under a cliff edge, very high, with a very narrow, like vertical ice wall, and we are under this like cliff edge. The ice wall's here, and the only way that we could get back up to the trail that we needed to be on was to like, and it's a cliff, right? Like cliff edge down here, and we have it like it's winds blowing a gale, and so like we're horrible. You definitely can't imagine how it looked, but we're all like lined up there laying on it, and it's like Jared, Pestily, myself, and then Michael's behind me, and I told Jared earlier because I'd been the second to get up there with Jared, and I was like, Jared, nobody's going to be able to go up that ice wall. I was like, we're going to watch somebody die if they do. But then they're all in line, and they're all like, let's go. And I was like, I'm going to watch Jared die. So Jared's like crawling out on this ice wall. He doesn't have an ice pick, and he's only using his like crampons, and he takes off his gloves to get a like better grip. And I was fully prepared to watch him die in the first mountain. He gets like partway up, and then Pestily made the right call, and he was like, we're not doing this. Yeah. So he came back down. We had a conversation. It was about to get dark, so we had to head back. We would have kept going to try and find a different route, which I'm glad we didn't. But it was getting dark, and we called that off. And we did acquire some more equipment after that, which was even better. So Krabi, the very first mountain we failed on, which was like the most demoralizing thing in the fucking world.
Well, you didn't know
we
what
set
you
off
were
on this
doing.
adventure. We're like, let's go climb some mountains, and we failed the very first one that we fucking attempt. But good learning experience. Don't listen to the Austrian. Definitely is winter time, but it was very good. But everybody was just crushed about it. In the end, we did the very last mountain that we climbed. Is we looped back, we went to Krabi, and we did summit it. Yeah. And it was the coolest mountain. That mountain is gorgeous. That one and Musala, the one in Bulgaria, are just insanely pretty. And like when you get to the top, the like landscape, it looks like Lord of the Rings when they're going through like the mountain pass when they get blocked off. It's like that kind of vibe. Wow. Very, very, very cool stuff. But yeah, we did that. I'm not going to go through every country, every specific mountain, and just go over some significant ones. Then we went to Sarajevo, the city. Sarajevo is gorgeous. I knew that there's a war in Sarajevo. I knew the very basics from it back in the 90s. But that city is like one of my favorite cities in the world. That thing is awesome. It is such a cool mixture of cultures.
What country is that?
Bosnia. That's where Archduke Franz Ferdinand was murdered.
Oh, okay.
Started World War I. And it has a whole lot of like Muslim influence because the Turks were there for a long time. It's very, very like hodgepodge and mishmash of all this different stuff. But like the war, the war that they had with the Serbians back in the 90s is like still so very fresh. You'll see like pictures of like some of because there's not that many big buildings, but any of the big buildings they have pictures of. They pretty much are all there in the 90s, and so you'll just like see these towers, and like you'll see a picture later on of like those towers like literally on fire and like half destroyed. And then everywhere you go, there's like bullet holes in every building because like the city was under siege for like fucking the longest modern siege in history. It's like 3 years. So like they just like bombarded constantly, which is very like sobering, but just a very interesting city to see. for everything it's been through, and that place was really cool. Plus, it had like an old Olympic bobsled track that you got to walk down and everything else. It was awesome. Sarajevo was like favorite city from that trip, probably favorite city in Europe at this point. The place is awesome. So if you are in Eastern Europe, definitely go to Bosnia. Check out Sarajevo; it's great. The roads, not so much in Bosnia. They suck. Other notable things: we went to Croatia. Croatia's mountain was supposed to be easy. In addition to Croatia, like for the most part, all I think about Croatia is kind of like Game of Thrones and beaches.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't see either of that. We were not near the beach, and the mountain there is called Dinara. And we'd gone to a small little town at the base of it, and we had like stayed the night there, and we had gotten a burger, and a guy, and no, it wasn't. It was a viewer of Pest, like we had talked about it, and he had messaged Pest, and he'd be like, "Hey, dude, I'm Croatian. Just be careful because like there's dangerous snakes on the mountain that'll like kill you, and there's also a burra." And I was like, "What is a burra? Like a witch? Is this some like folklore tale of like a witch that's gonna kill us?" And we looked it up, and a burra is like an ice frigid wind is the definition that we got, and we were like, "We've already been on Karabi. This will be fine." And this is our second mountain, and so we all like wake up the next morning, drive over there, and we get out, and it was very cold. It was cold, and there was a bit of a wind, and so we start going up this thing. We stop at a cool little castle, and I've never seen anything like it. Once we got further up, it was just pure snow, and it was like 100+ kilometer an hour winds, and by ice wind, it's a blizzard. Like everything was frozen on everything. All of our jackets were frozen. You had to like crack your pockets open. My face had like frost all over my cheeks because I didn't have any goggles. There's a couple of pictures from it, but that one was not my favorite mountain. That was miserable as shit, but it was one of the coolest experiences just from the absolutely insane conditions. You couldn't see more than 10 meters or like 5 meters in front of you.
I'm so shocked you did all this. Like you didn't even want to get wet. Like at the subathon, like, you know, it's just like now you're like, oh, putting yourself in the harshest conditions.
He still doesn't want to get wet. He's still not going to let us. Yeah,
that is true. I hate getting wet. God damn it.
If we want to throw snow at him, he's happy with that. But you just can't put water.
There was no wetness there. It was all very cold and hard. But and you would like go past like a tree, and the tree would have this like vertical, horizontal like spikes on it from like the wind blowing and the snow blowing, and like the spikes would be like this long, going like directly sideways.
That's cool.
Like I've never seen anything like that. It was beyond like a blizzard, and that's what the guy was talking about, a burrow, which is like we just happened to go at the exact time because the mountain's supposed to be just a nice, easy, casual walk up, and it's not when you can't see 10 meters in front of you. We were just scared about being lost again because we had been lost on a previous mountain. We definitely had a couple of instances of being like, are we in the right spot? But eventually we did make it, and that was super, super cool. But it was super disorienting. Like you couldn't see, everything's just white. You couldn't see any kind of horizon. You couldn't see like what's below you when you're on like a cliff edge. You couldn't see anything. You're just kind of like in this little white bubble. Very cold. So that mountain was awesome. I don't know about favorites, but one of the coolest experiences.
I don't know much about Croatia, but one of my favorite football players is from Croatia.
Wow.
Modric. He's very good.
Is this football or football?
As in football, as in soccer.
Yeah. Come on, you know it's coming from Kinngs.
I've started saying football because I've been watching more European soccer, so now I say football.
Right.
When I growing up and when I played, I always called it soccer.
I watched Ted Lasso.
I never played in Europe, so I usually called it soccer.
Right.
But I played with people that were from mostly these countries, actually, like Middle Eastern countries that they came over to the U.S. because I played in B League, like shit league soccer. They leave there, come here, and then try to get drafted in the MLS because MLS isn't as good as European football.
I don't know anything about it. I'll take your word.
Croatia.
But here's the thing: this is where the gamer hole comes in. We had a meetup in Zagreb, which is the capital of Croatia, which I never heard of Zagreb either. I thought the capital of Croatia was like it's a place on the beach called starts with a D. I don't know. It's one of the more known cities. But we were in Zagreb, and we had a meetup, and I got to meet some very nice Croatian guys. They were like, dude, it's Dekie from the Hole. And I was like, oh my God, we have some Hole viewers in Croatia.
No way.
Yeah. And I sent one of the pictures I sent of you. I got a picture of the guy and I sent it to you, Aqua, and you replied. And that blew his fucking mind. He was so happy. He was so fucking happy.
I had forgotten that was specifically Croatia, but yeah.
Yes, that was Croatia.
Okay.
Later on in Greece, I met another guy that was he was like, oh my God, Dekie's from the Gamer Hole, Aqua. He's like friends with Aqua. He's very excited.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it was really cool actually getting to meet a couple of Hole viewers. Yeah. But yeah, Dinara, absolutely insane. For what was supposed to be a pretty casual mountain was horrendous. Luckily after that we ended up doing a bunch of easy mountains. Like Hungary's mountain is a tiny little hill. It was a tiny little hill covered in ice. We watched an old man fall and smash his head open. He bled a lot just as I did. He actually hit himself in the exact same spot. We think he's okay, ideally. That was the main injury we saw on any of the mountains, was on this small hill. We went to Moldova, which was another small hill. Romania we didn't get to do. Tour guides wouldn't even take us, mountain guides wouldn't even take us. The official mountain rescue team was like, don't go. Which they don't want anybody to get hurt.
Time of year, or was it because of time of year, or just because right now?
Time of year, and it was snowing 60 centimeters.
Yeah.
So, and that one is like you get up there and then you walk kilometers right on a ridge. So that if you go a foot to the left, foot to the right, you're going to fall to your death. So if there's a bunch of snow, you have a higher chance of avalanche and everything else. Yeah. So we didn't do that. But what we did do in Romania, we went to Bran Castle, which is Dracula's castle, which is very similar to the Salem witch trial thing that you were talking about. Yes. Now, I like vampire stuff. I think vampires are pretty cool. I love sucking. So, and vampires know how to suck. So this is very interesting. So, and Vlad the Impaler, actual real guy that Dracula's based off of, I don't know any details on him. I just know that he impaled a whole lot of people back in the day.
What does that mean, impale?
Well, you get a stick, you put it up their ass, and you have it come out their mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
It's a form of execution, yes. Yeah. So... And this guy, Vlad, a real character, a real person, impaled thousands and thousands of people. Yep. That was his stick. That was his thing. And that's where they derived the character of Dracula from. That at least was my knowledge on this before going to Bran.
How did they go from a stick going up someone's ass through their mouth to sucking blood out of their neck, turning into a bat?
So especially at that time, generally what you do is you make a fear, and then people get more stories further and further out that actually don't know what happens there.
Yeah,
and it extrapolates, and then that's one of the reasons why big kings and stuff would do very gruesome things, because you have to be feared or loved, otherwise you don't reign for very long.
And this is because that was also my exact thing. I was like, I know that Dracula derived from Vlad, and I don't know any details on Vlad. I'm not being a historian here. And I'm sure there'll be somebody in chat that could correct me or in the comments. But I was also asking that Aqua, and I was hoping I would find out at Bran Castle. I still don't know. I don't know if it's a legend from back then that he helped form about himself, that he was this vampire thing, or if it formed in the early 1900s or whatever it is. I have no idea. Yeah. I didn't sadly learn this at Bran. Let me just go into this. So Dracula's castle, we get into Bran, and Bran is a very cute small town, but you could tell it was off season. It probably looks better in snow, and it probably is a lot more lively in October, with Halloween and stuff. There wasn't a lot going on. It looked pretty down and boring, but I was like, I'm not judging on it. So we go up into there, and we get dinner right outside of Bran Castle. It's nighttime. You see Bran Castle, the moon's over it, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is cool. Amazing!" And it's a proper looking fucking castle. It's not necessarily AOE castle. It's a little more sharp angles to it, a little eviler looking.
Yeah,
if you
I
will.
like that. Yeah,
yeah, and I was so hyped on this. I like vampires. I'm not a huge vampire freak, but I think vampires are cool. Bram Stoker's fucking Dracula, awesome.
Yeah.
Interview with a vampire, awesome. Like any of that stuff, I
Twilight?
can dig.
Awesome.
Awesome. Generally.
Yeah, Twilight, yeah.
Awesome.
So I was pumped, and the rest of the guys, I think all of us were kind of like, this is gonna be sick. So we go to sleep. We wake up next morning. We go there, and it's like all the shops are outside are open now, and they're all like selling, Dracula stuff, Dracula shirt, Dracula magnets. And I was like, yes, dude, this is gonna be sick.
And then nothing.
And so we get the tickets, and we get the extra ticket to go to the torture room. And I was like, oh my god, yes,
The impaling room.
yeah. and so like I am hyped out of my mind. Little did I know I had lost my passport at this time already. I'd left it. But I was living in bliss. I didn't know, and I was. We go up in there, and it starts off, and it shows like all the different people that lived in the castle from the start, and then like all these additions to the castle that have been made, and it starts with the Teutonic Knights.
Oh,
Which yeah.
Oh yeah.
They first had like an outpost there, and it was like a wooden outpost, and it's slowly being built on, and then it gets a couple hundred years, it gets to Vlad, and then a couple of hundred years, it's to whoever owns it now. And and so I was like, okay, this is cool, and then we like go to the next room, and it's all like Queen Maria. And at that point, I was kind of like, who's this? I don't care. But I didn't realize that was a major sign of what was to come, because for the next like hour, all I read about was Queen Maria and Queen Maria. This is Queen Maria's room. This is where Queen Maria made her lunch. This is where Queen Maria would sit and look out the window. And I was like, dude, who the fuck is Queen Maria? And why isn't this fucking Dracula? And I was telling the other guys, I was like, guys, if I don't get some Dracula action soon, there's gonna be issues. And apparently Queen Maria, I don't know. She's around in like early 1900s, queen during World War I or something, I think. And basically a queen that is a good queen, and the Romanians like her, and they bait and switched all of fucking goddamn Dracula's castle into being a goddamn Queen Marie exposition, and I was so pissed. And so like we go through all this stuff, and we're going up all these floors, and I'm like, the Dracula part's got to be next after Queen Maria. And I enter this one door, and it has like this like centaur picture, and he's like creeping in a window. I was like, okay, this looks creepy, we're getting to Dracula. And then I look next to it, and it has a suitcase with a stake and like a Bible and a cross, and I was like, we're at the Dracula part, it's coming. And then I left that room,
back to Queen Maria.
And I never saw anything else about Dracula the entire fucking goddamn time.
What the hell?
Yeah. And so I was livid. I was like, what is this? And we keep going up, and we get to this one part, and it says, and it was like at the very top of the castle, and it's like closed due to safety. And I was like, wow, what the fuck is this? So my only explanation is maybe that was the Dracula part. But even if it was, that was probably like goddamn 1/10 of the castle, and the rest of it was all Queen Maria, and that still does no justification, even if it was. And I didn't even get to go, and I was very mad. And then we did get to go to the torture area, which had all sorts of torture devices, which shows how fucked up humans are, and that they really do hate women, because most of the torture devices were against women, and it is real fucked up shit. It's a lot of stuff that I've seen in like movies, read about, and then they had some other stuff that I was just like, who the fuck came up with this shit?
Some fucking kinky asshole or something.
Yeah, honestly.
And at first I was like, oh, the torture room, and then I'm leaving it, I was just like, well, now I'm depressed. But the torture room was at least well done. I was like, well, this wasn't
a good torture device. It sounds like you're like, well, yeah, they came up with some fucked up stuff. Well done.
Yeah. And then we went to the gift shop, and it was all Dracula paraphernalia again, and I was so fucking mad. Yeah. So don't be fooled into Dracula's castle, anybody. It was a cool castle, and it was nice to go inside of. Like, I want to see castles, that's true. But don't be fooled thinking you're going to get some awesome Dracula stuff, or even Vlad stuff. They had like the smallest thing talking about Vlad. It seemed like they kind of wanted to skirt over Vlad.
They probably
which, I mean, why would you want to skirt over a dude that, like, just murdered a bunch of people by putting spikes up their ass?
Yeah. Queen Maria is the granddaughter of Queen Victoria. And the castle is straight out of a Walt Disney film. This person's review of it. I don't know if you felt that it was a Walt Disney film.
Yeah, I see it.
So, okay, so that's what it was. Whatever.
Yeah. Did that person also say there's nothing with fucking Dracula?
It seemed like the picture was a nice old lady, and it seemed like she was very happy with the visit. I'm sure that she was glad that they glossed over the impaling and the spike going up people's asses.
Well, I mean, the torture room sounds pretty Dracula, you
Well,
know? Like
also, they paid extra for the torture room.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they're like, most people would be like, I'm just going to go the regular thing. And they try to gloss over the regular. Then the torture room were for the absolute freaks out there who was there for the impaling, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, that's exactly what I was saying when you talked about the Salem witch trials. Is like they leaned into the Dracula thing, and then it wasn't Dracula at all. It was just a bait and switch to get people in there.
But all the fucking like little tourist shops are always like, you know, the creepy, weird, mystic
yeah, of course.
stuff.
So, But it just like built up my hype even more. I was so sad.
You want a keychain with a bat on it or something. like plastic teeth. I love those.
I don't think I saw any plastic teeth. I'm so upset.
Why not?
I want dried.
Those are great. Those are the greatest thing.
I got an I
plastic
Love
vampire
Dracula
teeth.
t-shirt for Tanya's niece.
That's nice.
But yeah, that was my brand town thing. But brand town was cute. Let me go fast on this.
Just having dinner underneath that castle at the moon, that must have been great.
It really was. It was very picturesque. It was dope.
The castle's fucking like ginormous.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not a big castle. It's like a castle to be lived in. It's not a castle holding a garrison.
Yeah.
Grand Castle.
Like it's definitely bigger than a house, but
I mean, like it's on like a hillside.
Yeah, it's
so
on a hillside, and it has like a cliff on one side. It is a dope looking castle. Yeah,
it is you could hold out a siege for a while here. It looks like. Oh my god.
It looks
there are
a
no
lot
like
bigger.
current. There's no like current photos of it. They're all like old photos of Bran Castle that I'm looking at here.
I typed in Bran Castle on Google Images, and all I have is current photos.
I only have current photos.
Maybe I spelled it. How do you spell Bran?
Bran.
That's why. I was looking at Bran Castle.
Yeah.
Different castle. All right, cool.
But yeah, very, very, very cool place. Loved it. Well, the castle was cool. The trickery was not.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that I left my passport in the place that we stayed at that morning, and then we went to Bucharest, which is 3 hours away, which is where I realized I left my passport. So then Jared and I had to drive back to Bran, which was 3 hours to get my passport, then drive back 3 hours again. And that's where Jared and I really started bonding, talking about conspiracies and how we're being radicalized to fight back against the government. Which that's another podcast we'll get into another day. I'm gonna start a goddamn revolution. Fucking Rothschilds think they can take fucking fool us with this shit all this time. Not gonna happen. Not on my watch. But apart from that, then yes, we went to Bulgaria. I've been in Bulgaria. I've been there before. I went to Sofia. Got to catch up there. Met some really great guys there. We went to.
Is that the place where you had the photo like now in the same pose?
Oh yeah. But with Pest, and then I did it before with a different guy.
Right.
Yes. Musala is the tallest mountain of the Balkans. It also sounds like it's like the father of Mufasa. Mufasa is the father of. What's the Lion King guy's name?
Moose.
Mufasa is the father. Who's the son?
Yeah,
the main character. Simba. Yeah. Anyway, it sounds like a lion's name.
It does.
And it is tallest mountain of the Balkans. This one was like a ski resort. So there's like ski slopes of half of it. We all walk up the ski slopes, take a gondola up, do a bunch of other stuff. But then once you get to the top part, it's like fixed line, but it's like near vertical. Super, super cool climb. And you get up there and you're the highest point of all the Balkans. Super beautiful view. Very awesome. The downside with that one is Pestily and Michael left a little bit early. Because they were the slower guys in the group. They were usually bringing up the rear. Jared and I were in the lead, and they left a little bit early because we had to make sure we got back to be able to take the gondola down, or else it's going to add a ton of time to the hike.
Yep.
And I mean, it was like a couple hour hike back to the gondola. So they left a little bit early, and Jared and I stayed to get some drone footage, take some other pictures and stuff at the top because we were a little bit faster. We'd catch up. Once Jared and I left, we were going down, and I had bought a little tiny little like plastic sheet that was called a sled, and I'd carried it all the way up there hoping that I could sled down part of the mountain. And I was like, Jared, this is where I'm going to use it. I'm going to try it. And for one, I thought I was probably going to injure myself more than anything. But what happened is I lost the GoPro that I had with me. And Jared and I then spent the next 2.5 hours trying to find this GoPro, which we never did. So I lost Pesley's GoPro. And we missed the gondola. So night's falling. The mountain is entirely empty of any other living soul. And Jared and I are stuck up there. And food's running low, our rations of like candy bars that we take on every hike. Water was also running low. But luckily, when I had been in Romania, PieSpace, the guy that I had the original picture with in Bulgaria, had given me a bottle of Rocky, which is Eastern European moonshine. And I had taken it on this trip because I wanted us to have a little drink at the top. And Jared and I had a little sip at the top. So once Jared and I realized that night was falling, we weren't able to get the gondola, and we had a multi-hour trek down a trail that we've never been on. And our phones were pretty much dead at this point. We were like, well, this is going to be very not good. So let's just drink the Rocky and go. And it was one of the greatest experiences ever. Me and Jared just got absolutely fucking blasted walking down this mountain in the fucking goddamn evening. All the pain in my knee, because I've had like a knee injury, and all the pain on my knee gone. Jared and I, we've never bonded like anything before. It was just two dudes just traipsing down this mountain, not a care in the world, not worried about the sun setting, not worried about not having food, not worried about the water being out because we had Rocky, not worried about whatever else is lurking in the forest of the track that we haven't been on and don't know where it's leading. Before you know it, the Rocky's gone, and we're at the bottom of the mountain. And there's Pest, there's Michael. They're waiting on us. And it's as soon as they come up, they like run up and hug us, and they're like, "You guys are drunk." And I was like, "Yeah." But that was
nothing like making a hard hike down better with a fucking couple of drinks.
Yeah, God, you're like it's like those dogs that like on mountains with the little thing around their neck filled with whiskey. That's probably why, so that people can like make it down the mountain, their knees don't hurt anymore, and then they stop worrying. And like, if you don't worry, you don't panic, and then you get down the fucking mountain. Why not?
It would have been such a horrible experience without it. So major thanks to PieSpace for providing that for us. And that was like some proper like homemade stuff from like his aunt or something.
Yeah.
And it just tasted like paint thinner. It was terrible. But
I get you drunk.
That was a really, really cool experience.
That made me want to have some drinks today. Maybe I'll do one of my
Drinky Winky
streams today. Yeah.
We did a couple of other mountains. We went back to Montenegro. Also, I had heard of that country. Never could tell you anything about it. It's very tiny. Gorgeous capital called Podgorica. Very up and coming. Seems like there are going to be some showers. If you want to buy property over in Eastern Europe, I don't know if that's actually advisable or not, but it seems like Podgorica's an up and coming city as far as Eastern European cities go. Very bustling and building infrastructure, and I give props to them for that, because there's a lot of places that are not. We tried, because we had tried to do the mountain there originally on the way going north, but we couldn't because the road was snowed off. You couldn't get past it. We couldn't even get to the mountain because there's just like piles of snow on the road. So we had to give up on that one. So we were going to try and do the other mountain there. That's the thing with Montenegro, is it has two tallest mountains. One that they call their tallest mountain, which is in like the middle of the country, and then the one that's on the border that's actually the tallest, but they don't want to recognize it as much because it's on the border of Albania, and they don't want to talk about the Albanians.
Man,
so we tried to do the one that they call theirs. Yeah. And Albania was great. It's all bullshit, man. Don't listen to them. So we tried to do Bobatev Kuk, which was in the center of the country. That was the one snowed off. So then we were like, all right, let's go do the other one this time. And that's when it rained the entire like first part up, and then it turned to snow the second part up. And that was like proper like stomach deep snow, as well as like a lot of like rocky areas, crevasses, other stuff. That one was a nightmare to try and navigate. We didn't even get that far up before we heard just massive like cracks and swooshing sounds. And it was also horrible visibility, and we were in the middle of a valley, which we heard 3 of them, and we all think it was different avalanches around us. So we called that one off. which very wise decision. That one was actually one that I was still like game to fucking keep traipsing on. But I'm looking back, I'm really glad that the other guys decided not to, because that was proper bad idea if we kept going on that. So we didn't get to do Montenegro, which I'm bummed about. We tried twice. After that, yeah, we went back. We did Serbia. We did Krabi again, which is the first one that we failed, and then went back to Greece. Hung out in Athens for a few days. Athens, kind of overrated. Don't want to be mean to any of the Athens guys out there, but Parthenon. The Acropolis is cool. Like, it's a city, and then it has like a big like plateau where they have all the buildings built on. The buildings I was less intrigued by. The actual like plateau in the middle of the city that looks out over everything was pretty cool. But we did that, and then we went to Turkey for Anzac Day. Like Pest was in the Australian military, so he really cares about it, and that's where the Australian New Zealand forces went and landed on Gallipoli back in World War One. But the Anzac thing, I don't need to go super deep into it, but it was cool because they were fighting the Ottomans then. But they have the ceremony in Gallipoli, which is in modern day Turkey. But it's a really cool thing because it's both like a joint thing for both the Ottomans or the Turks now, and as well as like the Anzac forces. So they have like cemeteries right next to each other on both sides, and it's very much like a camaraderie almost between the things instead of like animosity, which I thought was very, very well done and properly. It was cool to experience, even though there's no Americans or anything else hanging out there. And that was it. After that, we flew back to Greece, and then my plane made me fly back to Turkey for my layover, and then I flew back home, and that was it. That was the trip.
Wow.
Very long. We did over like 7,000 miles or kilometers of driving, which in Eastern Europe, with how small the countries are, that's a lot of driving because usually it's like 3 or 4 hours to the next place. If that was in like the U.S. or something, it's not that big a deal.
I have two questions. One, like, how far out generally were these mountains from like the proper cities?
Not usually close. They're usually pretty far out there, and that's something cool. That's what I was like. I've learned to take in a city and its culture and its people in approximately 2 hours. So like we went into Budapest, and I was all like, I've been here 2 hours. I'm ready to leave. Which is an injustice to all those places.
Probably.
That's terrible, but we were definitely doing a speed run on most of those things.
Hey, at least you got to go and like get the vibe of it,
Yeah. We got the vibe of most capital cities, and each place we went pretty much went to every capital city in most countries. But I really enjoyed that we got to go out into the country and see a lot of smaller towns, and I felt like that gave us a lot better representation of stuff instead of like the touristy side.
A lot of people who visit these places miss that.
Yeah.
They just go to the city and then just, are missing out on that stuff. But my other question is the trip. How long was it?
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Did it feel fast or slow? How did time move for you being there?
It was I think it's similar to like how COVID felt the start of COVID feels like years ago. And the start of the trip, even after like 2 weeks on the trip, the start of the trip when we flew into Greece felt like it was months, half a year ago. I was like, when did we fly into Greece? But as it's happening, it feels fast as shit. But when you look back at other parts of it, you're like, dude, that was years ago. So it felt like we were out there forever, but
like
during
1 year, but it was 3.
Yeah. So it went by really quick, but looking back on it, it felt forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 weeks is a long way. Like dropping off the stream for 5 weeks, leaving like your home for 5 weeks, your significant others, everything else. That's
not easy. I would hate that.
Yeah, and it was a great experience, and I'm very grateful for it. But it's I'm glad that we're at least pushing trip 3 until next year. I'll do it again for this next one, but then it'll be nice to be home for the rest because it's hard, just like the gamer hole. Like I want to make plans. I want to prep for stuff. I want to get like do stuff and make plans for stuff, but I can't because I'm going to be gone for 5 weeks.
Yeah,
true.
But yeah, that was the big thing.
That sounds great. I'm happy it was so successful, and I'm happy you got to do all this cool stuff. It's nice to at least hear about it from someone else, and I can live vicariously through you because I'll never do it. But I not to put you on the spot again and make you talk for the entire episode, but I gotta know what the fuck happened to your eyebrow.
Oh yeah. So
Oh.
so this is the best part. I managed to get through the entire trip without any significant injury. As soon as I get back to Mexico, though, I get my face bashed open. So the first day back, I fly in like the night of one night, and the next day we had a concert that we were going to go to, Tanya and I, not the one in New York that she wanted to go to, but a different one.
Mhm.
And so I was all like, all right, great. And so this is where I received this at the concert. And you're thinking, oh, dude, Dekie, were you like in the pit? Were you like getting wild, fucking like smashing and thrashing? No, it was a band called Rufus Du Sol, which I don't know a lot about, but Tanya really likes them. It's an Australian band. Definitely not anything that there was a mosh pit with. And so I had, been drinking a bit, because you're not going to go to a concert and not have a couple of drinks. And I might have been slightly inebriated. And the part that's debatable is if this man was actually trying to grab Tanya's purse, or if I assumed he was trying to grab Tanya's purse and he was just walking by. But to myself at the time, he definitely was trying to like grab it and be gone. And me being the very large and robust male
course.
individual that I am, I wasn't going to have this. So I lunged at the man and I gave him a shove, and he retaliated a little more forcefully than my initial attack.
Shoving. Yeah.
He came down on my head. He was holding something. I don't know what it was, but it was hard. It wasn't like a direct punch, but it was just kind of like pop. And that was the end of the fight. He ran off, and that was it. I didn't get knocked out or anything. It's just like he hit me, and I was like, "What the fuck just happened here?" and he like quickly got out of there. But like head wounds bleed, dude. So it was just like,
And when you drank a little bit, when you drank a little
blood
bit,
might have been a little bit thin.
yeah.
But it was just like, it was spurting. It was like, and I was just like, and I was like. Well, so I lied, I guess, earlier. My first reaction was like, holy shit, that's a lot of blood. And then I was like, well, I can see out of my eye, even though like blood's starting to like drip on it. But I was like, I'm not blind. And so I was like, well, that's important. And then I was like, this is going to be great content. And so we take care of that. Or like this is like at the end. So like we leave, I get a little bit cleaned up there. I go home. Go to bed, wake up, this thing's like swollen over my fucking eye. And I was like, dude, I look like the Elephant Man. I'm like some freak right now. And Tanya's like, dude, we got to go to the doctor. We got to go to the doctor. And so I was like, oh, fine. All right. And I hadn't like properly cleaned it. I like wiped away any like blood. So we go to the doctor that morning, and this is a $2 doctor. I've talked about this before. I like when I got COVID, I went to the doctor when I felt sick, and I was like, do I have COVID? And he's like, nah, dude, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You don't need to get tested. And then I got tested 2 days later, and I had COVID. So this guy doesn't have a great track record. As well as a few other times we've been there, he's not a great track record. But Mexico has these like doctors that are just like on the street next to pharmacies and stuff, and you go in, you pay like 50 pesos, so it's like basically like $2, and they'll check you out, give you a prescription, give you a shot, do whatever you need.
A very cheap walk-in clinic.
Yes, very cheap walk-in clinic. And definitely, I mean, it's not a proper walk-in clinic, and not what you would imagine in the US. This is like a door in the side of a street, and very, in movies when somebody gets shot and they can't go to the hospital because it's illegal, and they need to like hide from the authorities. It has that kind of vibe. Yeah. Basically a vet. So I go to this guy, and I've been familiar with him. I don't go enough because I hate the doctor, so he doesn't recognize me. But we talk for a bit, and I walk in, and right instantly he's like, "Dude, you're gonna need stitches on that thing." And I was like, I don't do needles, dude. I was like, I've been told I need stitches like 3 times in my life, and I've never gotten them, and I ended up fine. And he's all like, okay, well, he's like, your choice. You're gonna have a scar. I was like, scars are cool. So he's like, well, let me clean it up. So he comes over and he like starts cleaning it, and then he's like, no, you need stitches. And I was all like, he's like, it's not a question at this point. He's like, this is really deep. And I was all like, oh God. But then here's the thing is he says, I don't have the equipment to give stitches. And I was like, I mean, it's like some kind of thread and like a needle. Okay. And he's like, give me an hour and a half, come back, and I'll give you stitches. And I was like, this seems really shady and weird. Either like dude's not qualified to give stitches, dude doesn't know how to give stitches, or something's up with this. But I'm like,
He needs to go to the hobby store.
Anyone can give stitches. You're fine. Yeah.
I was like, it's just sewing up your skin. But I was just like, this seems very weird, but this is going to make great content too. So I was all like, do you know what, dude? Despite my fear of needles, sign me up. Let's stitch it. And oh God, I was terrified out of my fucking mind.
Was it a hooked one or straight?
The
needle
I didn't
itself,
see. I didn't even look. As soon as I laid down on that table, I closed my eyes and didn't open them until I was done.
It looks like you have a cool caterpillar on your face now.
Those are not dissolved, so those are you gonna cut out, right?
Yeah. They got to get cut out in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So
that's always it's a fun feeling.
That's gonna be a fun feeling, especially because it's on my eyebrow. So I'm kind of it's gonna be a little bit more complicated, I think. He's gonna be plucking my hair at the same time.
Yep.
But he did give me some local anesthesia, which was great. I was super pumped about that. I didn't expect that. I thought I was going to be going in there feeling every goddamn thing, but he fucked me up a little bit.
Anesthesia is crazy.
Yeah,
You don't feel anything. It's wild. I'm always so surprised by that. But yeah, that's good.
Same here. Well, he said he was going to give me 4, but he only gave me 3. But he had done like 2, and he's like kept being like, "Do you feel that?" No. And then he like did 1. I was like, "Ah!" I definitely felt it, and he's like, "Maybe we need a little bit more in that spot." I was like, "Yeah, maybe we do." But yeah, he did that, and now I got this super cool like fucking stitch action.
And you should leave that in.
What was that? Oh yeah.
You should leave that in. You know.
Oh well. Yeah, so we got that.
You might have like a cool like zoomer like slit in your eyebrow now.
That's what I had hoped, but it goes like it's along with the eyebrow. It's not like cutting it in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that dude hit you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You could have done me a favor and give me the cool zoomer cut.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
Damn.
But yeah, that was the
maybe.
That was the
It's
situation
amazing
with
how many people born between the years 2000 to 2004 have attained the same eyebrow injury.
Man,
It's really incredible. What the fuck? Were there like fight clubs going on in school around that time? I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, that's the eyebrow. So, but yeah, it'll be fine. I might have a cool little scar afterwards, or a kind of a deformed eyebrow maybe on that side is what it's really going to turn out with. Right. It's going to be like crooked and look evil.
Scars are all right. It'll be fine. It's in a good spot, honestly, to have a scar. Any eyebrow scar generally will look kind of cool.
And overall, I feel like it was out of any kind of facial injury that could have happened. That's definitely a decent spot, and it wasn't my eye, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, your eye does look a little red though on the side.
Yeah, I got some blood in there. Yeah,
broken capillaries or whatever. No problem. I mean, I've had that without getting hit in the eye, just from not sleeping enough. Or whatever.
Luckily, your eyeball is encased in what is bone to protect it around here.
Exactly,
so,
and nature did work there. Yes.
Yeah. Eyes are all right.
Are you trying to look farther? You're trying to see further.
I was just feeling my little eyebrow cases, or like my little eyeball case. It actually, if you feel around in there, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like.
That's a lot of bone around there, yeah.
You protect your eyeball.
Perfect little. You know, it's weird. My dog, opposite. His eyes pop out so far. I'm always so worried. I'm like fucking up his eyes. They like stick out like it's like a guy. He's like the dude from the Igor from Young Frankenstein. He always looks super surprised, like unbugged out. But whatever.
Dogs don't need their eyes. They got their nose.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have anything else to talk about. While you were doing all these like life-changing things, you know, getting in fights, going to Dracula's castle, whatever, all I managed to do was like learn how to do this. And I also have been fingerboarding. Those are my two big things of the last 5 weeks. What
have you been playing besides Marauders during the drops?
I don't want to say.
Well, it's not League of Legends. That's the only thing I judge on.
Wow.
He's addicted to World of Warcraft.
Oh, I thought it was actually League of Legends. I was like, what
No.
the
Yeah,
fuck?
no,
What
literally.
did you do, Kings?
He's addicted to World of Warcraft.
That might be like why I haven't done a lot too much lately. I can't think of nothing comes to mind at the moment, but yeah, I've been really grinding World of Warcraft. I've leveled up a Retribution Paladin, and I've just been trying to like level him up and get him going, so I can
And
do arena
this
with
is-
Lettuce with his.
I
Death Knight.
thought you were doing
Nice.
arenas with Lettuce on like months ago on a different character.
I was,
Yeah.
but it's a better comp to have a Paladin with
See.
a Death Knight over a Warlock. So
He got sucked in. And
got sucked in,
Now
and
he's gonna have
now-
to send a bill to Lettuce when he has to go homeless. He's just gonna call Lettuce up, send him a bill.
he's going through the same thing. He's not streaming as much either because of WoW.
Well, then
We're in deep.
Who are you gonna sue? You know, who are you gonna try to go after for money?
I didn't do it. We went to the loony bin
I
together.
did not know that. Well.
What'll happen
Yeah,
is
Sky
Aqua's
kinda
wife
nothing
will
going
give
on.
me a call and yell at me for getting him into World of Warcraft and think that he's working all the time, and I'll be like, he's playing WoW. It's nothing to do with me.
Well, she goes to bed at like 10 p.m. every night, so I just go play WoW after that. You know, so it's fine. My private gaming hours. Anyway, I got her playing the Hogwarts game though.
Oh, really?
I never played it, but she's been playing it.
I actually played it a bit
It
when it
looks
came
pretty-
out. Then she was
It
like,
looks pretty good, you know, from what I've watched her play.
I played it. You can actually go check out the
Yeah.
new video about Harry Potter plays Hogwarts over on the Creators Club channel on YouTube. Check it out. It's a winner. It's a banger. It's out right now.
Yeah, I saw that. I want to watch that.
55 minutes of glorious Harry Potter
Did you
combat.
beat the game, Decky?
Oh,
Or no?
fuck no. I didn't even get like 5% into it.
You streamed for how long? What was it? It was 4
6
hours,
5
6
hours,
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, 5 hours, I think.
What were you doing the whole time?
I was dueling. I beat the game's like dueling system. I'm like the champion dueler of Hogwarts, and I hadn't even completed any of the storyline. I didn't even get my broom. But the game, despite I don't like Harry Potter, I don't like magic, and I don't give a fuck about the Harry Potter universe. The game's
weird
combat was
for-
actually enjoyable. The combat in the game was fun.
You were dueling other players?
No, I was dueling NPCs.
Yeah.
Oh.
They have like a tournament that, yeah.
It's like when you're doing Oblivion or Skyrim, and it's like the Dark Brotherhood. It's like a line of.
Oh,
you know,
I see.
stuff.
Yeah.
Dueling Quest. So yeah, I did that, but yeah, the combat was actually like a lot of fun, like rolling around, throwing some hocus pocus spells out there and stuff. I don't know any of the actual Harry Potter names.
Yeah.
Maybe a PvP DLC could be kind of neat.
That would be
ranked.
sick.
It's
Ranked wizard dueling.
the combat's kind of like the Star Wars combat, like the dumbed down Dark Souls combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my experience with it. So it's a decent. If you're into the Harry Potter universe, you'd probably absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
That's cool. But yeah, see, that's why I don't want this to be a real knife. That would have gone right through my gallbladder or something. Like we don't need that. But anyway, I would have been way more injured than you.
Yes.
if had this been a real knife. But I've been getting back into after my big surgical escapade. I've been getting back into moving around a little bit more, and I mentioned this on the members podcast. But I am decided I am going to turn into a exercise freak of nature. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to have that rice farmer body that you were talking about.
Yes.
Back in the earlier episodes. Do you have that now that you're in the best shape of your life?
No, and I'm still kind of upset about it.
So I guess it's never gonna happen.
It's very hard to it, especially when you get older, man. God.
Yeah.
Do you want to know one of the reasons why? It's because he actually has a good chair now. Before he had that turtle back where he had bruises on his back
Mhm.
because he had such a terrible chair.
Yeah.
He's sitting in comfort now. You know, he doesn't have the hunchback of Notre Dame or the bruises.
Listen, and the best part about this chair is like if you get tired of one position, you adjust that shit go into a whole new. I just did that during this podcast, and now I'm on a cloud, baby.
A new chair, yeah.
Yeah, it's you make a new chair to fit your needs.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But anyway,
but yeah, have not attained the rise from her body, but I believe you can, Aqua.
I don't think so. Because I think you're closer to that body type
you'd
to begin
have
with.
to cut a lot of weight to be the rice farmer bod.
And also, yeah, I did lose a lot of weight, just from my medical shit, but I put it back on already since then, I think. And I'm just not willing to curb the way I eat too much, unfortunately.
Food is enjoyment. And that's like one of the best things in life. And that's even coming from me, and I eat 5 things.
That's true. Yeah. I'll eat things reasonably. I think I'm doing an okay job. Like, I'm cognizant of it. Like, I'm not eating burgers and fries every meal, but I eat them, But like, I'll have a salad, sometimes, or this or that. But like, beyond that, I don't think I can do it. And I'm not going to ever be the type to like prep rice, prep like boiled chicken and like broccoli and eat that for every meal. Forget it. It's never going to happen. I'm never going to be a rice farmer bod. But, I did decide that, I have all this new like ability that I've unlocked from my surgery. And I feel like I'm not limited anymore. So I just want to see what I can do.
You leveled up.
I think I leveled up a little bit.
A perk tree and now working out.
Yeah, exactly. I put an extra point in endurance.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though, Aqua. This is what I ran into ever since I started doing a little bit of gym action in preparation for the marathon and then this trip is there's no time to go to the gym.
Well, gyms fucking suck. That's why living in cities and having to go to a gym is stinky.
There's no time, even if you're working out at home.
No, but that's what I mean. Is like people hire gardeners to do their garden when you could just go out and garden yourself and do that, or like lug of dirt. Go out and lug a dirt yourself. That way you're getting it done, and it saves you money, and you're working out. That's my opinion, but I'm not in the best shape either.
That certainly helps. But I want to do like a little bit more than that. I want to like actually
get the glam muscles, Kings. He's not going to get the glam muscles by gardening.
If you want a glam muscle, so that's the difference. If you want a glam muscle,
I'm trying to make him pop.
Yeah, so
I'm actually not.
If you want a glam muscle,
you've
got to go to,
Yeah. I don't want any glam muscles. But yeah, maybe lugging dirt around might be the answer. I don't know. But I actually did work out like specifically during COVID, like almost the entire time. And it felt great. It was awesome. I loved it. And I'm just excited to do it again and just be better at it, is basically what I'm trying to tell you. But it's really hard to get back on that horse. Like I'm having this internal battle. Like, am I ready to do that yet? Like, according to the doctor, yes, but do I really feel that way? And I think so. But
you also have to.
I guess I got to just try. I'm just putting it off. It's so hard to like start the routine.
A lot of people like to work out in the morning too. And that's going to be tough if you're playing WoW until too late. Then you have to wake up late, go to the thing late.
It's the time. It's horrible, man.
But it actually kind of helps to me because like you do it and then like my mind is clearer and I can actually like sit down and start to stream like more easily. Like there's all that fucking fog and brain fog and shit. Is it like out of the way? And sometimes it actually helps.
Yeah, especially if it takes you a while to wake up. So sometimes physical activity can help.
It does.
Yeah.
It's bad. But anyway, that's my story.
I had is it co-coach? I had someone that I coached with, and she used to say, if you ever like feeling brain foggy, do like 10 jumping jacks, and then do whatever you need to do. So she was a person that would literally just like randomly be like, okay. And then you'd like see her doing jumping jacks off in the corner.
It's like the guy that like before the picture, he's like, let me get my pump in so my veins are bulging out.
Well, she used to do that just because, but she also was like a pretty high up athlete back in she's quite older now, but back in, the 80s, she was actually a athlete for the US. So.
I'm all in on you with this health journey, Aqua.
Yeah.
I say go for it. I want to
see.
I want to like message Aqua in here and be like, can't get back to you right now. Too busy fucking pumping iron.
Yeah,
getting pumped up. Honestly, Dekie, we've raced, in terms of speed, but
yeah,
I think you and I just formed some sort of like human decathlon 1v1 situation where we compete against each other in all sorts of physical challenges. You're gonna win. You're so far ahead of me. Like,
no, it's only my legs. That's the only thing. Right? I can go up a hill better than I normally can. Other than that, I'm still horrible shape.
maybe we should just recreate Kenny versus Spenny.
Yeah, that's essentially.
We all compete each week
and
on
dumb
this show.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The only problem is we'd all have to be like physically in the same place.
Well, physically in the same place would be the only Kenny versus Spenny.
Unless we really use the honor system.
We'd have to really use honor system to do anything.
But it
like
wouldn't
that.
be fun to watch that way either because you can, like.
It would be fun if we had to do. You'd have to do some like updates, check-ins, or something like that in between. Yeah, documenting your whatever. And
I like that.
It'd have to be tasks that you can actually document/do. You know, it'd be tough.
So before I leave, we have to see who can do more pull-ups. 4 weeks, Aqua.
That would be interesting because pull-ups you could do live,
That
but
is
you also
the
could
last
document.
thing I'm physically suited to do right now. My rib
Look at my
cage
arms.
is.
I can't fucking.
I mean, you could do push-ups, but I mean your
was
chest.
cut
Yeah,
down the middle of my body.
Okay, that is very true.
I was cracked.
probably fractured, yeah.
I can't do pull-ups yet. I need to really. I'm starting like at -5 here. If you're starting at 0,
You could do like curls maybe, and just pick a weight and.
No, I'm my like Pilates class for old people that I've been doing.
Yeah.
Before where I'm gonna start there. I'm starting with that because it's pretty low impact, stretches you out, you feel like Gumby afterwards. You
and
feel
it's made
great.
for old people.
Starting there, exactly. So I'm gonna start with that, and then I'm gonna start blasting out some pull-ups and getting huge.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Then I'm gonna go to the beach.
So when you get
Throw a
back,
football with Tom Cruise.
when you get back
And
from
my
your trip,
muscles are gonna
Dekie,
pop.
then we can start doing that.
Then we can start some real challenge. Imagine the gamer hole turns into the fucking gym bro hole.
Honestly,
Yeah, right.
honestly, if we did that, like the changes we want to make to the gamer hole, we could make some interesting bets like that.
Yeah.
Kings, you better start carrying that dirt around more because
you need to
we're
get
all
out in
getting
that
fit.
garden.
I hate to tell you, but I could outlift you guys, no problem.
Listen to him now. You just wait, Kings.
What do you want to do?
Nothing yet.
When
I
I
need
was
some
in high
time.
school, when I was in high school, I lived in the gym, so I'm sure I could get back to that.
I like this. This is a really good future for us.
This toxic masculinity is exactly what this podcast needs.
We need this fucking asshole to each other, toxic masculinity. I can live more than you, bro.
Yeah. I could literally tip your car over.
Yeah. You want to see you could tip a car quicker? All right, let's go. And then we just like run outside and start tipping our own fucking cars.
Let's go.
Jeez.
Yeah. Pretty soon Lettuce is going to be in here. He's going to be distributing us all like anabolic steroids. Like,
Oh, God.
that's I'm not saying he does that, but he said he kind of wants to.
I refused steroids when I was playing, but I knew guys that were doing it, and holy shit. Roid rage is real, and it was bad.
Maybe that's why he gets so mad during arena.
Oh, maybe.
He smashes things.
But do you know what that reminds me
bad.
of? It reminds me of today's sponsor, because friends, family, and loved ones, I bet you haven't purchased your Father's Day gift yet, have you? Not to fear, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming are here. I'm talking about our friends over at Manscaped. They're saving the day by going with a total package for father figure in your life. It's time to upgrade his game from waist to face with this exclusive offer. Have him join the 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get 20% off plus free shipping with code GAMERHOLE at gamerhole.com. That's code GAMERHOLE, all in one word, GAMERHOLE at gamerhole.com for 20% off and free shipping.
Let's go.
Gamerhole. Manscaped. Okay, excuse me. That is code GAMERHOLE at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. At manscaped.com. Use GAMERHOLE, all one word. Thank you, Kings. Very,
I might have to. I think I own that domain. I might have to reroute real quick.
But yes, thank you, Manscaped. Very much appreciate them still being out here and supporting the boys.
I shaved with the pubic trimmer today, the Lawnmower 4.0, but I did my face.
Nice.
Yeah. It was great.
I need to keep this mustache. And actually, this is a great question. Right before we leave, guys, I've been doing different facial hair on each of these trips. So on like trip 0, when we went to Bali, I had the chops. And then this trip, I was trying to rep the mustache most of the time. What am I doing for the next trip?
Who knows? Write it in the comments. Maybe we'll,
let me know. Let me know, gamers.
We'll discuss it.
All right. Appreciate you guys. It has been a blast. We will be having some more Gamer Hole episodes in the next couple of weeks before I do have another break. But sorry then again about the holding pattern. And yeah, we are working on some actual cool shit for the future. We've said that before, and we're still saying it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a genius behind the scenes that's going to actually help us with it. So once that's set,
we're not giving up. That's
we're gonna
the real thing.
We're gonna figure something good out.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye bye.
What's up, gamers? Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. We put a lot of work into these. If you liked it, consider becoming a member just by clicking the join button down below this video. Becoming a member will get you access to exclusive members-only benefits like a monthly live stream, as well as an extra hour-long episode every week on top of the main episode. Thank you again for watching. Appreciate you. And as always, we will see you next week.